easily. Today's live, I want to talk about self-care. Self-care is a topic that is not always acknowledged, but a very important topic to discuss, especially during the pandemic and when you are a caregiver. I have come to realize that in order to maintain your health, you must decide what it is that makes you feel healthy and cared for. In the past, I have felt that I had amazing self-care habits. I went for my manicures, pedicures, facials, massages, talked to friends daily, and even went for walks. But I was still not feeling great. So at the time, I was caring for loved ones and felt guilty even taking time for myself. I always felt that I couldn't even fit time to watch TV or even read. I couldn't say no to anyone. I was always overwhelmed by the demands of my personal life, but also work. So I read a lot about self-care. And I also talked to professionals. So I came to realize that self-care is within your body and we should maintain our health from the inside out. But what did that really mean? One thing that struck me was that I needed to start thinking about boundaries and what it meant to have healthy boundaries. So I asked myself, do I have healthy boundaries? And what does that really mean for myself? So I looked it up. What are boundaries? And I will read it to you. Boundaries are the limits that you set when it comes to what you expect from a person and how they behave towards you. They indicate what you find acceptable and unacceptable in someone else's behavior, particularly with someone that you are close to, such as family, friends, or even a partner. But it is not limited to people that you are close to. You may also need boundaries when it comes to work and your community as a whole. So this sounded easy for me, but I soon found out that practicing healthy boundaries is more difficult than I have realized. In my personal inventory, I realized that I felt guilty saying no. I feel guilty doing things for myself, especially when I have so much on my plate and loved ones to care for. I knew then that I needed to start practicing how to have healthy boundaries in order to improve my self-care and fall in love with myself as the primary person I care for, the primary relationship in my life. Okay, so that sounds strange then, it sounds strange now, but actually it isn't. And on top, it is more difficult when you are being mindful of the changes you truly want to make. Since I started working on boundaries, I asked myself, am I sleeping enough? Am I eating at least 2 meals a day? Am I drinking enough water? Am I adding exercise to my routine? Well, it wasn't a surprise that the answer to all those questions was no. So I asked myself why, when it's essential. Well, my agenda was full from the minute I woke up till the minute I went to bed. I also couldn't say no to anyone. But once I started working on that, I soon had more time during the day, and that allowed me to have at least 2 meals a day. I also started asking for help from family and close friends. I started setting boundaries around activities I wanted to do during my day. Let's say I wanted to have lunch. I would schedule my lunch, have a boundary around that, had lunch, and I didn't feel guilty about it. Same thing when I went for a walk. I set a boundary around that without feeling guilty. So it was more gratifying. I also soon started noticing that by having good self-care, I was more present for my loved ones. I also was more mindful of the little stuff. Okay, so I started applying cream to my body. Okay, using chapstick or lipstick if I wanted. I started taking vitamins, which is a work in progress because I'm not crazy about it. Reading at least 10 minutes a day. Giving and receiving hugs. Yes, giving and receiving hugs. And value the way I feel. Very important. Daily, I now work on saying no when it is appropriate without feeling guilty. So, in conclusion, this goes back to how you relate to yourself, and that translates into how you relate to others. I want to ask you, are you willing to start working on your own self-care? And are you willing to start working on your own healthy boundaries? And if so, what are you willing to start with? There are many resources out there that can help you in learning more about healthy boundaries and good self-care. I hope you have enjoyed this topic and continue in your own growth. Thank you. Goodbye.